Welcome everyone, I'm Nettie and we're going to do some more energy block releasing today. For those who haven't seen my videos before, there is a 30-minute one that goes over what energy blocks are and details the technique that we're going to use today. But this is a shorter one and we're just doing a series at the moment of energy blocks so that people can listen and release their own energy as we go along. It is much more powerful when you actually do them together. So even though we're not doing it at the same time, the way that energy works and the way that time works outside of kind of where we are in human things is that you actually have a combined energy even though it doesn't run parallel in timing. So it's pretty complex to get into, and to be honest I don't understand it as much as I'd like to in some ways, but I do accept that it is what it is. Okay, so today we are going to do an unusual one, which is the energy of secrets. Now, secrets hold a lot of energy, and when it first came up, this is what I needed to do next, I was like, I can't relate to this. Like, I have a really good relationship with my husband and with my son and my family, and I don't really have a lot of secrets. But then when I started to see, was showing the pictures of what they meant by secrets, I started to go, oh, maybe I have more secrets than I realized. And releasing this was obviously an important part in my life as well. So we do actually have a couple of examples first that I would like to share, just so that you can come on board with whether you have any secrets or not. And remember from our original tutorial that the first thing is openness. So we're open to trying this and seeing where this energy works. But secondly, acknowledgement. So knowing a bit more what they mean by secrets will help us acknowledge our own secrets. And once again, if you don't have any that you can come to thought, just put secrets in and you might be surprised what energy releases from your body. So one of the ones that they talked about was in children, and that it stems actually from a really early age, this block. And it is like parents saying to a child, for instance, oh, don't tell your dad that, don't tell your mum that, don't tell your brothers and sisters that, that's just for you. It's teachers in a classroom with, two students saying, oh, did you do that? No, don't tell the teacher. And so this person ends up actually getting messages of other people's secrets. So it's almost like they're putting this kind of, oh, I can't tell this person, I can't tell this person. And they start to see information as something that you have to choose where you put it, whether it's something that you can retain to talk about or something you have to package up as a secret to not get someone else in trouble. And in relationships where the parents are actually telling a lot of lies to each other and they utilize the child in the middle, this can actually become quite a large trauma for them. So if that is you, where you've had parents either together or separated that are telling you two different stories, or you may have a sibling, you may be older with a sibling that's doing things that they're constantly telling you not to tell your parents, even though you're both, in your 20s or 30s or 40s or even 50s or 60s. Those secrets can actually build up, and it creates a block of energy that when you're receiving information in, to do with family or to do with school or whatever it is, or work, you might have this situation at work, you end up with a block that's there that's hard to get rid of. So that's one of the things we can look at. The other one is actually partners. So when you get into a relationship, say with your husband or your boyfriend or girlfriend, and your communication isn't good, and you start to sort of have issues between each other, you can actually harbor secrets that don't feel like secrets, but they are. It's almost like if your partner's on a diet, for instance, a diet plan that is cutting out all sugars, and so then you start eating sugars not when they're around. And so then you start to associate, even years later when they're not going on that same diet plan, you see a chocolate bar and you think, I've got to hide to eat that, or I can't eat that too much, and so you put some sort of energy around it. It's actually like putting a shield up from that person when it comes to that product like sugar. It can happen even, if you've been on a girls' trip or a boys' trip and the other partner got upset by the fact that you were away, or you didn't have a holiday with them. Next time something like that comes up, you hide it from them to a certain degree, because you don't want to upset them, or it might not happen. You don't want to get that negative energy poured into your trip beforehand. It can be as much as you had a lazy day and sat at home all the time, and they drove up the drive and you think, oh, I had so much to do, they're going to be so shitty. And so then you get up and start, doing the dishes or folding the washing or whatever, and you're like, okay, I'm going to pretend that I did stuff today. I'm hiding that fact that I just really needed a lazy day at home, and I'm not willing to discuss that. I'm not willing to get into it. And so therefore I put that aside and I build up another block, another energy thing. Childhood traumas are a big one with this. So anyone who was abused verbally or physically will usually have some sort of secrets associated with that. And opening those up is often a big task, but it is a releasing of a secret. Fears can be secrets, just as simple things like I can't swim, and you go on holidays with people and you don't want to tell them that you can't swim, or that you have anxiety, or that you may wet the bed, and you may be a sleepwalker and as an adult, and these are things that you don't want others to know, and you keep this as a secret, and you sort of build up guards to stop people knowing that, because you don't want them to think worse of you. You might not drink alcohol because you have a medication for the anxiety, and you sort of thinking, how am I going to tell them that I don't drink, because then I've got to explain why, or so I'm going to walk around with a glass of wine all night and tip it into a pot plant and pretend that I drink, or tell them I drank too much last night, so I'm on the waters tonight. Like, these kind of lies and secrets are things that people do all the time. And, I was sort of going through these and I'm like, most of those don't relate to me. But the one that came up that did was actually my intuitive ability. And so I don't let most people know that I've been able to see spirits since I was little, that I'm very clear seeing, so I'm clairvoyant, and it has increased a lot again, like it was when I was a child, back to what it is now. So, I went through a lot of my 20s and 30s where I had the ability, but it wasn't sort of in my everyday face. Whereas now I struggle to not see it. I'm talking to people and I start to see these energy balls of anxiety or fear or safety or secrets, or, I see, for secrets in particular, I see a little black suitcase often beside someone. And I'm like, okay, they've got things that they can't, and depending on how hard that is to get into, how locked that is, will be whether they've even acknowledging those secrets again. When there's been big traumas, especially in younger ages, sort of up to 21 years old, you often lock those secrets up tighter because you just don't have the maturity or the wisdom to actually deal with them in the right manner. And so when you do open the suitcase, often they're not as scary as they used to be. The younger they are, often they're not as, but that is not in all cases. There's some actually serious abuse that whenever that's going to be unlocked, needs to be done with a lot of help and guidance. So what we're doing today is we're not actually unlocking or telling any secrets. It's not about going and saying to everyone, I wet the bed, or, whatever your secret is. It's not, the point is not to release this energy so that you're going to go and tell that secret. It's to release the energy, the guards that you've got there, these shields that you've put up when it comes to something like that, so that you can readdress that issue and decide, hey, maybe I can tell my partner that I'm eating a lot of chocolate now, and even tell them that I used to hide and do it because you're on this diet and I felt bad about it. And they'll probably just laugh and say, oh my gosh, I've been doing the same since the diet because I thought you've done so well. So it's opening up those secrets and losing that energy around things. And the more little things that you have, you can actually have secret being quite a big energy block, but it's made up of like 200 or 300 small little things. And so it actually is easier to get rid of when it is that, but you will find kind of a release from it. And I know that when we did New Beginnings, for those who haven't seen that, that's the one I did before this, I woke up the next day and I'd had this kind of this hungry feeling in my stomach, and I just couldn't put to words what it was, and I couldn't feed it. I'm not much of an eater, as in I don't sort of binge food, but I could feel myself craving almost something, and so I would go, maybe if I eat that thing of strawberries, that will solve it. I've never had that in my life, and I was kind of like open up to a whole different ball game of food and like why people eat in some cases. And so by releasing that energy that was around New Beginnings and the issues that I had around New Beginnings that I hadn't really even identified until we started to sort of sit down and talk about it, and it was asked to actually do New Beginnings, I started to realize myself. And I woke up the next day and I was on fire. Like, I knew my plan. I had dreamt so much about what I wanted to do going forward with this project I'd been thinking about for a year, and I just started on with it. It's going really well. I've got such focus on it. I don't have any fear around it. I don't have any expectations around it. I'm just moving with it. So I'm hoping that this will happen with you, even if you don't realize that secrets actually are causing some anxiety or some issues in your life. I think it's still worth going along with this and actually see where it goes. So I was going to try and keep these to about 10 minutes, so apologies for those who only have a really short amount of time, but it will probably go to about 15 minutes. So we're going to do the releasing now. So as you know, I start with a deep breath in and out, and then I pull my hands together, and then we're going to close our eyes. So let's begin. Deep breath in. I like to hold a little bit. And deep breath out. Now, for those who are feeling a bit unsettled, remember this is a good time to pull your energy into the center, almost into your vertebrae, down from your head down to your lower back, into your coccyx. And I'm going to bring my hands up. Now, between our hands, or just have the intention of having an energy ball, I'm again going to put a rose inside my energy ball. And for those who enjoy the color, I've started with a kind of an orange. It's almost on the verge of red, but it's orange, and it's going to a very light yellow at the moment as I put the intention of secrets into the rose, and it's wanting to expand. So now the third step, once we've acknowledged it, is to move it. So mine already wants to move. My body's trained very much in moving the energy. So as you do this more and more, you'll start to find this yourself. And I can feel a lot of light wanting to sort of be brought into this energy. So it's starting to turn white and then into a kind of a greeny brown. And it's slowly moving in and out. I'm going to try and speed it up because I think it's almost controlling me like sometimes secrets do, and we're going to start to move it. And I'm going to actually turn this upside down, and I'm going to really do figure eight through this. So I like to do figure eights. If it's not moving on its own, I run it's kind of like a figure eight through the rose, or through the center of the energy ball, crossing through the rose. And I'm just going to get that going, and now I'm going to start spinning my rose. That's it. And as I do that, my rose, the rest of my energy circle is kind of like that brownie color left, but the rose is turning blue. And as I'm still moving it around. It's actually turning to brown, the same as the energy ball, so I can barely see it, and it wants to release. So once you've got your energy moving enough, and if you find that you haven't, just press pause and keep going. And what you're going to then do is release it, and I'm releasing to the center of the earth. I'm just dropping it down, and I'm imagining it going all the way into the center of the earth. And for those who would prefer, you can actually release it to the sun, or if you're doing this at night, release it to the moon. I worked with someone on energy, a younger person, and she loved to blow them up. So you can actually, she would imagine a little time bomb in hers, and she would blow it up into the outside of her hand, and she would make sure each piece completely disappeared. So you can be as playful as you want. If you needed effort roses to help release this, I didn't today, mine's already going right down. You can bring those up too, just bring them around. And then once that's completely released, shake off your hands. I always shake the top of my head, and then in front of my house, just get the energy moving around you too, in case there's any stuck energy there. So I hope that's helped you today. I hope that you notice that there is a difference. You still need to work on this physically when you've got something. And if you did have a big secret, or you had lots of secrets, please just listen to this again and play this through. Or if you know how to do this yourself, follow through with that as well. Thank you for listening. I hope this has brought some more joy into your life, and kindness and love. Bye.